You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this online training by Crowder Agriculture. It is a great pleasure having you on board. Crowder Agriculture works closely with public and private sectors in Nigeria, also providing services related to agribusiness. As an agribusiness consultant, we map, monitor, survey, market, and formulate strategies of increasing sales in all kinds of agri products. Our team of business consultants have experience in delivering practical agro-business solutions with a detailed knowledge of all types of farming systems. We help in development of business plans and improving the efficiency of a current system. Our plans are based on practical and informed knowledge of farming and rural activities. Also, we advise clients on strategic business planning and performance monitoring service in exploring their options, benchmark performance, reducing costs, increasing income, and help to ensure long-term business viability through strategic business reviews. Our products and services include farmland lease, farm skills acquisition trainings and mentorship, farm mapping services, flood and erosion prediction services, e-agriculture and ICT consultant services, agro cooperatives for funding and support, farmers agent and representative services, as well as smart climate agricultural consultancy service. Our service focuses on profitable and sustainable farming system that follows the best practice and commercial principles for business, soil, air, and the environment. We also keep up-to-date government policies in relation to agriculture and investment support schemes. Today is the part 2 of mitigating the impact of COVID-19 pandemic through smart animal husbandry. This training will coach the trainee on the possible ways of reducing the adverse effects of COVID-19 on their livelihood and come out very strong during the post-COVID-19. However, the objectives of this training is to enable our highly esteemed participants to make the right choice of production system, to know the requirements of farm site selection, to know the necessary housing and equipment needed for poultry farm, to know the various breeds and breeding, to understand the earth management and biosecurity, as well as keep daily routine house boundary practice. The following are the housekeeping rules. Please kindly mute yourself and put off our videos. This will curtail any form of disruption of the training. You can tender your questions and suggestions in the chat box, indicating your name in full and your organization, so that when you make a comment or ask questions, we are able to identify you. Please note, after today's training session, we shall be having a brief test. A link will be sent to your email address via Crowder mail. Please endeavor to attend to those questions after this training. With this, I would like to invite the trainer for today's event to make his presentation in the person of Dr. Abdulaziz. He is a breeder by profession with a broad knowledge on agribusiness. He is the master trainer on agri development projects, and currently he is the general manager, Crowder Agriculture. Dr. Abdulaziz, over to you, sir.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor and pleasure to be with you this afternoon to continue discussing the timely topic, mitigating the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic through smart agriculture using what animal husbandry. In our previous class, we introduced poultry production. and we were able to identify the merits in poultry production, and we were able to outline all the enterprises present in poultry production, and we discussed extensively on layers and broilers production, and at the same time we were able to talk about the requirement for farm site selections among housing. And now in today's presentation, we are going to be talking about poultry feeds. Animal nutrition is the organic process of nourishing or being nourished, the process by which animals take in food and uses it for growth and maintenance. Animal nutrition can also be defined as the science that transforms nutrients into body elements. Nutrients in any substance that can be metabolized by animal to give energy and build up body tissue. The major classes of these nutrients include carbohydrates, proteins, fats and oil, minerals, vitamins, and water. All these sorts of nutrients can be derived from grains, legumes, pulses, etc. Now let's look at ration formulation for our poultry. In ration formulation, it is a procedure by which the farmer combines different feed ingredients such as the carbohydrates, protein, fat and oil, among others micronutrients. The ration produced must be palatable, safe for the animal, and cost effective for the farmer to make profit. Livestock ration varies with different types of animal species. So if you want to formulate your ration, first and foremost, you need to understand the type of species, their sex, their age, and then their physiological status. This is very, very important in feed formulation because at various stages they have different requirements for different nutrients. In formulating ration, the nutrient requirements of the animal must be taken into consideration. Okay, where the demand for carbohydrates is minimal, don't go and provide more of the carbohydrate, and where it is what's required in high quantity, don't go and supply in a lower quantity. Try as much as possible to strike balance according to their demand. There are things to consider while formulating your feeds. First thing of the ingredients you are going to use. Okay, let's say for instance, I want to derive energy source. So my energy source should be from where? It should be from my grains, okay, either maize, oats, among others. So now if I want to go and use, for instance, I want to use beans. Beans have lesser amount of carbohydrate in them, of which I might not have my required needed carbohydrates. So it's better we understand the nutrients in each of the nutrient composition we're trying to formulate, and at the same time we need to understand the nutrient requirement of the animals. Okay, this will go a long way to give us better production of this poultry. There are different requirements of what they needed. So it is paramount to understand at what level to give what and how. Now let's look at the factors to consider when formulating feeds for animals. We talked about the age of the animal. Are they pullets or adults? Okay, if they are adults, of course, their ration will varies, and if they are what pullets, their ration also what varies. So if for instance you are feeding a pullet with around 3,000 kg of carbohydrates, I think it's going to be disastrous. Okay, there might be some malgrowth in the poultry. So try as much as possible to understand their age and understand their what requirement. And secondly, we need to understand their physiological status. Are they pregnant? Okay. Let me put it this way: are they ready for egg production? If they are ready for egg production, will you still continue giving them starter mash? No. Okay. You now look for what? You now look for layers feed and what? Give them. So you now look at the various physiological state they are. If there are broilers, okay, the first 4 to 5 weeks, you know, the rate of consumption varies as against 6 to 10 weeks. So it's very, very important to understand how to go with the feeding. Now let's look at the availability of feed ingredients. Okay, if you want to formulate your feed, are they readily available? Are they accessible to you? If they are not, how will you get them? Because the essence of this feed formulation is to reduce costs. So if but eventually it is cheaper for you to go to the market and pick it up than formulating, then advisably you go to the market and pick it up. Now you now ask yourself, what is the purpose of me keeping this animal? Is it for egg or for meat? If it is for egg, you know the direction to take, and if it is for meat, you understand what the direction to take. And now, what species and type am I rearing? Is it the indigenous species or the exotic species? And under the exotic species, okay, is it the broiler or the layers or the cockerel? So all those factors need to be put into consideration as we go on formulating our feeds. Now let's look at the characteristics of a good ration. Okay, the ration must be acceptable by the animal. Okay, don't produce a ration where if you give it to them, they will not feed on it, or after feeding on it, it will cause them indigestion and whatever. You know, don't go that far. Try as much as possible to look for those feeds that are palatable for them, that are easy for digestion, and they can be able to convert it into energy for better growth. The ration should be cost effective for the farmers to make profit. Okay, in every agricultural production, we understand input is equals to what output, provided what price remain constant. Okay, so if at the time of buying my input the price does not change, and when my output is ready and I want to sell it, the price does not change, I stand a chance of making profit. But by the time there is shifts in prices there, and then there is a tendency of making higher profits or losing, as the case might be. But let's try as much as possible to reduce our costs so that we can be able to make hay while the sun is still shining. The ration should have the right texture. Okay, it shouldn't be too wet, shouldn't be too rough, shouldn't be too soft. It should just have its right texture, because just the way we human beings prefer our meal. For instance, somebody who wants to consume apple, he wouldn't want a very soft apple. You understand? The apple should be a little bit. He should be able to mold it. You understand? So that gives him the pleasure of us eating, and it will make him to eat more. Same thing is applicable to this poultry. By the time the texture is right for them, they tend to eat more. With that palatability, they convert it into energy, and before you know it, they'll give you a great returns on investment. The ration should be free from toxic materials. Yesterday I was talking about fungus infection in maize, of which we talked about what? We talked about them might be affected. Okay, you try to look as much as possible that the materials you are going to use for the feeding material should be what? Should be sterile. Okay, they shouldn't be what? They shouldn't be infiltrated, not contaminated with any diseases. Okay. Now let's look at the categories of ration we have. We have the maintenance ration and the production ration. Maintenance ration supply animals with nutrients just sufficient for vital function without the animal losing or gaining weight. Maintenance, right? So it's low in nutrients, especially what? Energy. Now the production ration provides animal nutrients above maintenance ration. This ration is formulated to meet the animal need for production. Example, milk or egg production as the case might be. Feeding is the act of consuming feed or the act of supplying feed and nourishment. And in poultry production, 60 to 70% of the total production cost is being consumed by the feed. So we should try as much as possible to limit the wastage of feed during what? Feeding. Now let's look at the nutrient requirements at various stages of poultry production. For layers or breeders, it is recommended that the metabolized energy, okay, per kg should be around 270, while the crude protein should be 16 to 17.5% minimum, while the calcium level should be around 2.5 to 3.7%, while the phosphorus should be around 0.6 to 1.0%. So in this formulation, the metabolized energy takes the higher ratio in the formulation. And the chick mash is also a little bit close to the layers feed. However, the only varies in a little percentage in metabolized energy, okay, and then the crude protein. While for the growers mash, it is almost the same thing with the chick mash, but however, the crude protein should not be as higher as that of what the chick mash. The broiler starter needs a lot of metabolized energy at 320 per kg. So if you are taking a percentage, 320 is for the metabolized energy. Now the broiler finisher, there's a little decline in the supply of energy. Okay, now you give them around 300, while the crude protein is around 20%, the calcium 1.4%, and then the phosphorus level to be around 0.52%. Poultry feeding management, it is important we group them, okay? Place the animal in similar ages, weights, and production levels together so that more specific rations can be formulated. Okay. Feeding animal of the same breed, age, and production should be placed together. During the course of feeding, we need to put the climate into consideration. Okay, if it is hot or cold, then automatically the diet needs to be adjusted. Feed waste should be prevented as much as possible, as this can increase the cost of production, therefore hampering our return on investment. So feeders should be designed to reduce wastage. Monitor health and disease of farm. Okay, the health of the animal should be properly monitored, as sick animals are not productive animals and will continue to consume feed. All animals should be on a regular health and herd management program. They should be vaccinated and monitored for any diseases. All the animals should be on a regular deworming and parasite control schedule. Monitor feed and forage quality. It is paramount we ensure that what the raw materials we are going to use for our feed formulation should have what high quality, as this have adverse effects on our animals. So this will allow the animal to reach optimal level of production. There are additives to the feeds of poultry, okay, of which example of these additives are the probiotics that is being supplied to them, the prebiotics, the phytogenics, and hormones such as steroids that improves production and growth rate. Feed processing. In feeding poultry, we have different ways of processing our feed. But however, the best economic way of feeding our poultry is through the pelleting. Pelleting of feed increase what feed efficiency. So how do you formulate your pellet? After getting all your necessary ingredients, you mix them, so you pre-mix them. Okay, now the pelleting machines will now pellet them into various sizes, various desirable sizes as per demand of the animal age and preference. Grading. Fine grinding of feed is effective in improving feed utilization by reducing the particle size and thereby increasing the surface area of the grain particles and allow for greater interaction with digestive enzymes. Now, signs of good health. There are a number of clinical signs which can give an indicator of the health status of the animal. For instance, if you visit your poultry farm in the morning, it is part of the routine, you knock the door of the poultry farm so that they will all be at alert. When you look at them, they will be looking into your eyes with all alertness to tell you that yes, they are fully aware of the environment and they are very responsive to the environment. So on seeing that, you know that yes, your poultry are in good shape. Okay, then their posture. If, for instance, poultry are scattered in the pen, but you notice one will just go one side, he will separate himself from the chicks, then automatically there's problem with that particular bed, right? So you now eliminate that bed from the existing ones. But however, if you come in, they are all together, with good interaction, roaming about and what I do, is informing you that they have good health. And when you come into the pen, you now survey, you look into it, you monitor around. If there are no discharges around their body or in the pen, then you are good to go. It's telling that the animals are okay. You notice that there's consistency. They even increase in weight. And when you come in, you notice they are at rest. Okay, they breathe normally. Okay, they don't either breathe too high or breathe too slow. You meet them in the breathing normal, so it's telling you that all is well. Okay, normal fecal appearance. Okay, if their droppings, if you look at their droppings, you see that their droppings is very, very okay, not too watery. Okay, but just as any other poultry fecal can be. So fairly constant body temperature. You can easily understand the body temperature of the bird when you raise their feather, put your hands under it, okay? It informs you about what's their body temperature. So if it is warmth, it's okay. But if it is too hot, then all is not well. Or if it is cold, then all is still not well. But warm body is very, very sign of good health. Now let's look at the signs of ill health. You will notice the birds will be listlessness. Okay, they'll be sluggish, inactive. Okay, this is an indication to tell that all is not well. Or you will notice after giving them food, they are not eating. You supply them food in the morning. Today, by tomorrow, if you go there, what is left is around 70 to 80% of what you supply to them. Then automatically, it's a sign to tell you that what all is not well with the birds and immediate action needs to be taken. And if you notice high temperature in them, it's also an indication. Congestion of mucus around the eyes is also what an indication of what ill health. Or you meet them coughing or with diarrhea. All these are what signs of ill health. So whenever any of this is being noticed, a drastic measure should be what employed to make sure that what these situations are being what controlled. General measures of disease prevention includes but not limited to the following: selection of appropriate breeds of animals that can adapt well to local conditions and have good vitality and disease resistance. Good husbandry that encourages strong disease resistance and prevents infection. Use of appropriate and high quality feeds. Appropriate stocking densities and regimes. Sick or injured animals must be treated immediately. For specific advice on individual disease problems and their prevention and treatment, consult Crowder Agriculture, as we have professionals who have over time understand all the diseases that are embedded in poultry and other animals. Good standard farm biosecurity measures is necessary to prevent and control disease occurrence and outbreaks. Let's look at the daily routine husbandry needed in poultry production. Management procedures in livestock production can be divided into two categories: daily routine management and specific management practices. The daily routine management involves the supply of water, supply of clean water, supply of what adequate what feeds, serene environment, okay, then what regular animal what inspection. While the specific management practices includes activities that are carried out on the farm routinely, example breeding and what brooding. One of the key aspects in poultry production is record keeping. Record keeping is very important for decision making. Okay, this informs you about the dates of mating, calf, lamb, heat birds, and what have you. And this helps the farmers to know when, what, and how to take important decision on his farm. The key to becoming a successful farmer today is being a good producer as well as a good financial manager. If you are not a good financial manager, you end up giving out all the resources into the production, and the return on investment will be nothing to write home about. Yes, try as much as possible to cut costs, but try as much as possible not to kill the process. How do I mean? An activity that you know deserves, okay, and you know it's 1,000, and you find somebody who will be at a rate of 6,000, 7,000, Don't go and be looking for 2,000 or 3,000 naira activity. For that delay you are carrying out, will end up with killing what? Killing the production. So try as much as possible to strike balance. Look at what is obtainable. Okay, don't be so selfish or self-centered. At the end of the day, you are likely to lose everything. And the first step in being a successful farm manager is what? Is good record keeping. Accurate record and establishing a sound record keeping system prove a betterment of the system. Okay, they should be able to have a track record of everything you have been doing right from inception to date. This informs your customers, your clients on how accurate you can be when it comes to prudent management of resources, and they can easily trust you with their resources for you to manage. However, record keeping plays a much larger role in business. Farming is a business, okay? Farming is what? Is a business. And record can be helpful in planning improvements for the business and making a proper management decisions. It is becoming a critical task in production. Now, what are the characteristics of good record? For records to be useful, they should have the following characteristics. They should be easy to keep. They should contain the necessary information. They should provide information when it is needed. Please don't be a shorthand writer in record keeping. Record keeping is supposed to be understood by any individual. The person mustn't be a professional to understand your records, okay? It should be understood by a layman, okay? That is why it's called record keeping, because in your absence, the activity needs to go on. So if the activity needs to go on and it is only you who understand the record, it's no longer what a good record. So it should be able to provide information when needed. So try as much as possible to be explicit. All the procedures that was carried out during the production period, try to put it into writing, because this will guide you, because we are humans and we tend to lose information quickly. But by the time we have them in detailed writing, they go a long way to help us retain them accurately. Okay, now let's look at the importance of record keeping. Accurate and well-kept record is efficiently analyzed, can be useful to agribusiness entrepreneurs and managers in the following areas: identifying strong and weak points in the business, providing basis for planning and budgeting, describing the history of performance of the business, and for making comparisons with other business and for different time period, meeting government agencies' demand for tax purpose, production control, etc. Useful for drawing up feasibility study necessary in applying for credits, future analysis of production method, cropping history, and decision making. They can predict the future of truly understand results without proper record. Now let's look at type of record keeping. We have around 5 types of record keeping, which include the diary, the inventory, the input records, production records, and the sales record. All of these records are very important in production system. The diary record, all the necessary information that happen within a day, okay, so that you will not lose any information. So once you have it, to have a track record of your day-to-day events, okay? So a good agribusiness entrepreneur keep details record of the event that take place in their business every day. Now, inventory record is also important. This can be done weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly, depending on the resources of the company or the venture. An inventory is a listing of all the assets, properties, and resources owned by the agribusiness firm. It tells the entrepreneur what he owns. An inventory is taken at the beginning or at the end or quarterly of the business year. Now let's look at inputs records. This is very, very vital. Okay, if you get this wrong, your output record will be wrong, right? So now these are also known as what farm expenses record. This is what will now inform you if you are making profit or not, right? There are records of all the input used by the business during the year. It gives the record of all expenses in the year. Now, production record. This is the record of all items produced by the average business firm. It can either be primary or secondary product. For those of you who might decide to key into the value chain, the production record will now come from production, processing, okay, packaging and marketing. All those information are supposed to be kept. The sales records are also known as what? Okay. Records of sales of all products are maintained in order to accurately determine the business income. It is a normal formula for income that output minus input is equals to what? Income. So let's try as much as possible. Let our outputs outweigh our input so that we can be able to say we are in business. Method of record keeping, we have traditional ways of record keeping, of which we use the shelves and what have you. But in the modern system, records are being kept in computers, okay, clouds, use your internet, and then using the books for recording. But however, it is advisable if you are using the computer, cloud or internet, try as much as possible to also have the book recording, because it is no longer a news that the rate of cybercrime is at its peak. Okay, so you allowing all your informations and data to be uploaded, you can easily lose them in a twinkle of an eye. So try as much as possible to have your books where all these records are kept. According to my people, they say so if you have two houses, okay, it will prevent you from what? From suffering from what? From fire outbreak, right? So if one house has been caught by fire, you can easily transfer into the other house. So if the hackers have hacked into your computer or your clouds and steal your data or delete them off, we still have the book records to keep going. Now let's establish our poultry farm with at least 150,000 naira. This analysis is not applicable to every locality. This analysis was derived from Zaria setting. Okay, so don't look at it as if you're in Abuja or Lagos, same is applicable to you. No, but I think the variation shouldn't be that much. But this will now guide you on your pricing. Okay, if you look through your slide, you'll see the prices, you see the items needed. Okay, all the items needed are listed, and all the necessary percentages and implications are also listed here. So this will now help you to prepare and start your own poultry business. We have discussed extensively on poultry production. I hope this training will be of great importance to every one of us, where Crowder Agriculture will be invited over to come and see the farm, accredit, and then acknowledge. So let's try as much as possible to keep digging until we find the gold, okay? If you are striving, keep on striving. The goal is very close. Don't give up. And don't always say, I can't do it. You can. Just say what I can do it, of which what the law of karma states. If you move with positive attraction in you, with positive energy, then you attract what positive what's happening towards you. Okay, and if you move with negative attraction, forces of attraction inside you, then it will now what attract what negative what forces towards you. So let's try as much as possible to be positive, as this is going to what build our mental capacity, it's going to build our strength, and it's going to make us what come out what very strong. We all know that what seeds are what are the origin of trees. So why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? Let's try and plant a tree today so that by tomorrow, let's try and plant a seed today so that by tomorrow it will become what? A very big tree. Invest today so that you want reap tomorrow. Don't hesitate in any circumstance to contact rural agriculture for sustainable wealth through agri-businesses. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Abdulaziz, for the impactful training. Please, at this segment, we welcome questions. Please, you can use your chat box to ask your questions while Dr. Abdulaziz provide answers for your questions. And if with time factor we are unable to answer your question, you can forward your questions to info@crowderng.com. Please use your chat box to ask your questions. Okay, there is a question from Mrs. Joy. It says, how do I measure the growth rate and feed conversion rate for poultry beds? Dr. Abdulaziz, please, over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Joy, for this wonderful question. You can easily measure their conversion rate through their weight. Okay, and that is why it is very good you want to take you take average weight of your birds within shorter intervals, because this inform you of the rate of conversion. Okay, so if you are reluctant in terms of taking their weights, morphological looks alone is not enough to tell you if the rate of conversion is okay or not. But with your weighing scale balance, you should be able to understand the progressive measures that the birds are given. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, doctor, for that answer. Please, at this time will not attend to any further question because of time factor. We've already exceeded the time. Please, you can forward your questions to info@crowderng.com. Please, let's not forget that the cultivation of earth is the most important labor of man. You know, when tillage begins, as they say, other arts will follow. You know, the farmers, therefore, are founders of civilization. Without farmers, we won't have access to food and other basic necessities. Please take a moment and really appreciate this profession and all the hard work and dedication that the farm life requires. As the population continues to grow, the workload of farmers also expands. Please, what we've learned today, I would like us to implement and take actions. For further information and inquiry, please send us an email to info@crowderng.com or visit our website on www.crowderng.com. My name is Andrew Sass. On behalf of Crowder Agriculture Team, I would love to thank you for attending today's training. I hope you find the learning helpful until we meet again for other trainings. We have trainings coming up next week, which is our smart climate agriculture with major focus on sustainable vegetables production. Please don't miss this opportunity. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe.